And just when you thought the portal couldn't get any crazier, we had the wildest 48 hours yet as some big names made their commitments and some surprising players entered the transfer portal. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And to start us off, one of the top point guards in the portal and Princeton transfer, Xaivian Lee, has announced his commitment to the Florida Gators following his official visit to Gainesville. The 6'4 junior averaged 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists this past season, and will be a key replacement piece in the backcourt for the Gators, with Walter Clayton on his way to the NBA. Xaivian Lee is known for his elite shot-making ability, smooth handle, and playmaking ability, and looks to be a perfect fit for Todd Golden to start reloading this Florida roster. And it had been reported that Lee was down to just 2 schools and ended up choosing the national champs over Rick Pitino and St. John's. But Rick Pitino didn't wait long to make a move, as St. John's brought in one of the best shooters in the portal, with Stanford transfer Oziyah Sellers committing to the Red Storm. The junior guard averaged almost 14 points per game last season and shot over 40% from 3, which will give the Johnnies some much needed shooting from beyond the arc, which they were missing last season. Sellers is a former 4-star recruit and has great size for the guard position at 6'5", and as a guard with this skill set around all of the athletes that St. John's has, I believe that Sellers is poised for a breakout season and could be one of the top shooting guards in the country next year. Bucky McMillan got his first big pickup as the new head coach of the Aggies, as Indiana transfer forward Mackenzie Mgbako has committed to play at Texas A&M next season. The 6'9 sophomore is a former 5-star prospect and now ranks as the highest ranked recruit in Texas A&M history. Mgbako has averaged over 12 points per game in 2 straight seasons at Indiana and was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year in 2024. And this is a massive win for Bucky McMillan and the Aggies, as they beat out NC State, Ole Miss, and Kentucky for one of the top bigs in the portal. And Bill Self and the Jayhawks got in on the action as they made another addition from the transfer portal, with St. Bonaventure transfer Melvin Council Jr. announcing his commitment to Kansas. The all A-10 senior guard averaged 14.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, while also leading the conference in steals this past season. Council is a 6'4", long, rangy guard with elite athleticism and can play on and off the ball, and he could be one of the best perimeter defenders in the Big 12 next season. Melvin Council started his career at the JUCO level and has worked his way up to one of the biggest brands in college basketball, and will now be one of the running mates for incoming 5-star freshman Darren Peterson next year. Another big brand in the sport that made some noise in the portal recently was Indiana, as they picked up 2 key transfers in North Florida's Jasai Miles and Troy's Tayton Conerway. Miles is a 6'6" versatile guard who averaged 15.5 points, 6.5 rebounds on 42.5% shooting from the field during his sophomore season. He has a ton of two-way potential and is a 3-level scorer that is great going downhill. And although his efficiency does need to improve, Miles will be a key piece in DeVries' rotation and has the ability to break out next season at Indiana. Tayton Conerway might be one of the most underrated players in the transfer portal this cycle. The 6'3" point guard averaged 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and almost 3 steals per game last season, and was named the Sun Belt Player of the Year. Conerway was one of the best defenders in the mid-major level, while also being an extremely crafty guard on offense who was efficient at the rim and a good playmaker. And he will be a great fit with all of the shooting that will surround him in Bloomington next season. Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers were active again in the transfer portal as they received a commitment from Texas Tech transfer guard Kevin Overton. Overton is a fast-firing lefty who brings impressive deep shooting range and the ability to catch fire quickly from beyond the arc. He's also an efficient downhill driver who thrives in transition, adding another weapon to Auburn's up-tempo attack. On the defensive end, Overton is known for his relentless work ethic, contributing on the glass and making plays with consistent effort, and will be a valuable addition to Bruce Pearl's roster next season. Samford transfer Trey Fort is headed to Michigan State, giving Tom Izzo a big-time scoring boost from the portal. The 6'4", 200-pound senior averaged 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.5 assists per game this past season, while shooting nearly 38% from 3 on over 6 attempts per game. He's a strong cutter, can finish at the rim, and adds real value as a rebounder from the guard spot. And Fort played just under 25 minutes per game, but made most of his time showcasing his efficiency with shooting splits of 45, 38, and 73. Fort brings veteran experience, athleticism, and a reliable scoring punch to the backcourt, and at 24 years old, He's a senior who knows how to produce, and his ability to stretch the floor should fit in perfectly with Michigan State's system. McNeese State guard Sincere Parker is headed to Memphis, and this is a big-time pickup for Penny Hardaway and the Tigers. The 6'3" guard brings a scoring punch and athleticism, something Memphis needs after losing PJ Haggerty to the portal. Parker averaged 12 points and 2.5 rebounds per game last season on 43, 30, and 82 shooting splits, and he did it in under 20 minutes per game, which shows just how efficient and explosive he can be. Before McNeese, he spent 2 seasons at St. Louis where he averaged nearly 16 points per game. Parker is known as a tough bucket getter and a spark plug off the bench, capable of putting up points on the board in a hurry, and Memphis is needing scoring depth, and Parker brings exactly that. And I'm expecting him to play a key role in the Tigers' backcourt rotation next season. And Kevin Willard was busy over the past couple of days, adding 3 transfers to the Wildcats roster. James Madison transfer guard Bryce Lindsay headlines the group, as the 6'3" redshirt freshman averaged 13.5 points a game this past season while shooting over 40% from deep. Lindsay was the Sunbelt freshman and 6th man of the year and brings a sharp shooting and scoring punch to Villanova. And with 3 years left of eligibility, Lindsay has a ton of potential and could be a breakout candidate for next year. And to go with Lindsay, Willard added in 2 bigs from the portal, with Braden Pierce following Willard from Maryland and Duke Brennan from Grand Canyon heading to Villanova. And with the transfer portal closing in a few days, we still have a ton of players entering, as Memphis star PJ Haggerty is officially in the transfer portal, and this is massive. The sophomore guard averaged 21.7 points per game, which was 3rd in the nation, to go along with 6 rebounds and nearly 4 assists, all while shooting nearly 48% from the field. Haggerty was named the AAC Player of the Year and earned 2nd team All-American honors. And in the AAC tournament, he dropped a career-high 42 points, tying the all-time single-game scoring record in the tournament history. Haggerty is without question one of the top players in the portal right now, and the buzz around him is huge. With wherever he lands, he's going to make an instant impact. And my early predictions are to keep an eye on Alabama and Florida as potential landing spots, but whatever happens, this move is going to shake up the college hoops landscape in a big way. And Penny Hardaway lost another key piece as Memphis big man Dain Dainja is hitting the transfer portal as a graduate transfer and is bringing serious production with him. The 6'9" center was named first team All-AAC and earned AAC Newcomer of the Year honors after a strong season with the Tigers last year. He averaged 14.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and nearly 2 assists and 1.3 blocks per game, while shooting an efficient 61.5% from the field across 35 games. Dainja was a key piece for the AAC champs this season, providing interior scoring, rebounding, and rim protection. And with previous stops at Baylor and Illinois, he brings experience, size, and toughness to the table, making him one of the more intriguing veteran options in the portal. And now, as a grad transfer, Dainja will be a hot target for programs looking to add a proven frontcourt presence who can make an impact on both ends of the floor right away. And it didn't end there, as Auburn wing Chad Baker-Mazara is entering the transfer portal, and he's a name every high major program should have on their radar. The 6'7" senior was a key starter on Auburn's Final Four team, averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists per game. And he's a high-level defender with elite shooting efficiency, posting an impressive 45, 38, and 89 splits this season. Baker-Mazara brings size, experience, and versatility on the wing, and he'll turn 26 during his final season, making him one of the oldest and most mature and polished players in the portal. With his two-way skill set and winning pedigree, he's expected to draw high major interest, and Kentucky has already been linked as a potential landing spot. But as of right now, it's just too early to tell where Baker-Mazara will be going, but he will be highly sought after as a transfer target. Former McDonald's All-American and Calgar Andrej Stojakovic is officially in the transfer portal, and the 6'7" sophomore entered with a do not contact tag, which means he may already know where he's headed next year. Stojakovic averaged 18 points per game this season, making him one of the most productive scorers in the country. And as a high-level shooter with a strong finishing ability at the rim, he also brings intriguing upside on the defensive end, and his pedigree and skill set makes him one of the most coveted names in the portal right now. And as of now, Illinois and Kentucky are heavily linked to him, but my official prediction is that he will end up at Illinois next season. And maybe one of the most surprising names, Florida guard Denzel Aberdeen is entering the transfer portal, after playing a key role in the Gators' run to a national championship. The 6'5 junior averaged 7.7 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 1.4 assists in just under 20 minutes per game this past year. He had breakout moments this season, including a 22-point game against South Carolina and a 20-piece on Mississippi State. And with the departures of Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, and Will Richard, Aberdeen was widely expected to step into a starting role next season. But recent reports suggest his decision to transfer has less to do with playing time and more to do with NIL opportunities. And while Florida added Princeton transfer Xaivian Lee, Aberdeen's exit still comes as a shock. He's a talented, versatile guard with big game experience, and he'll be a strong pickup for any program looking for proven backcourt help. And it's already been rumored that Denzel Aberdeen has been reached out to by Georgia, and he originally committed to Florida under Mike White, who is Georgia's head coach now. And Aberdeen wasn't the only Florida player to enter the transfer portal, as Sam Alexis has entered after one season with the Gators. The 6'8 forward is originally from the state of Florida, and transferred to the Gators after a strong year at Chattanooga. With the national champions, Alexis came off the bench in 24 games, averaging 4.5 points and 3.5 rebounds in just under 12 minutes per contest. While his role was limited at Florida, he showcased major upside the year prior at Chattanooga, putting up 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game, while earning all SoCon third team and defensive team honors. Alexis is a high-energy forward who thrives on the glass and can protect the rim, and with more minutes, he's shown he can produce. And he's already been linked to Providence as a potential next stop, but whichever team lands him will be getting a tough, proven frontcourt piece. And some more surprising news was when St. John's guard Simeon Wilcher entered the transfer portal, meaning his departure from the Big East champs this offseason. The 6'4 sophomore brought energy, emotion, and toughness to Rick Pitino's squad, and started 25 of 36 games this past year and played a key role in St. John's success. Wilcher averaged 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 1 steal per game, and showed flashes of two-way impact and clutch play throughout the season. His decision to transfer appears tied to St. John's recent backcourt additions, which may have limited his role moving forward, but Wilcher is still a talented guard with upside, and he'll be a valuable asset wherever he lands. North Carolina has already been rumored as a potential destination, though it's still early in the process, but Wilcher is someone to keep an eye on as he's one of the more intriguing guards now available in the portal. And St. John's also lost freshman guard Jaiden Glover to the transfer portal. The 6'5 shooting guard was a 4-star recruit in the 2024 class and is known for his athletic frame and smooth shooting stroke, but his freshman season was unfortunately cut short due to injury. Both Kentucky and NC State have shown interest in Glover, as he could be a major steal in the portal. And we had our first big decommitment in the transfer portal, as North Dakota star Treyson Eaglestaff has decommitted from South Carolina just weeks after announcing his commitment on March 30th. The 6'6 junior guard was one of the most electric scorers in the country this past season, averaging 19 points, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and a steal per game, while shooting 37% from deep. He started all 33 games for North Dakota and earned first-team All-Summit honors, and Eaglestaff turned heads with multiple performances as he dropped 40 points against Alabama and a record-breaking 51-point game in the Summit League tournament. He originally chose South Carolina over powerhouses like Kentucky, Gonzaga, and Kansas, but now that he's back on the market, Kentucky is reportedly still interested. But West Virginia has emerged as the early favorite to land him and would be a huge addition to the Mountaineers squad. There's a growing buzz that Grand Canyon star Tyon Grant-Foster could be committing to Michigan State here soon. The 6'7 forward is taking an official visit to East Lansing this weekend, and all signs are pointing to Tom Izzo landing one of the most versatile wings in the portal. Grant-Foster averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 blocks, and 1.5 steals per game last year, and was named the WAC Player of the Year in the 2023-2024 season. Grant-Foster is a true two-way presence, and he brings scoring, length, and defensive playmaking to any team that he's on. And he's also had previous stops at Kansas and DePaul, so he's no stranger to high major level. Pitt has reportedly also shown interest in Grant-Foster, but Michigan State appears to be in the driver's seat, and if Izzo lands him, it's a massive win for the Spartans. Another name that we've already mentioned being in the transfer portal is Texas Tech junior Darrion Williams, while also declaring for the NBA draft. But there has been some recent rumors that Williams could could find himself at another Big 12 program next season, and that program would be BYU. The 6'6" forward is one of the best players currently in the portal, and if he commits to the Cougars for next season, that would give them one of the best starting lineups in all of college basketball. They would have Baylor transfer Robert Wright, BYU star and sharpshooter Richie Saunders, 5-star freshman AJ DeBansa, Darrion Williams, and Keba Keita, who is a monster down low and would make BYU a national championship contender for next season. And although these are just rumors right now, it does seem like BYU has the NIL budget to get Darrion Williams, so it's something to keep a lookout for. We are still waiting on North Carolina transfer and former 5-star guard Ian Jackson's commitment for next season. But it seems that now there might be a few new teams that are in the mix. The 6'4" McDonald's All-American had a strong freshman year, averaging nearly 12 points per game and shooting 40% from 3, and has been linked to St. John's since he entered the portal. But Jackson recently went on a visit to Georgia and NC State, and it's rumored that Kentucky is trying to get involved as well. But Jackson is a New York native and one of the top targets for Rick Pitino, and I'm still predicting that he is going to end up at St. John's next season. Kansas transfer guard Rylan Griffen has been in the portal for a few weeks now, but is becoming one of the more intriguing names available. The 6'6" guard went on a visit to Miami and is set to visit Kentucky next week, but he is also rumored to be making a trip back to Tuscaloosa to visit Alabama soon, where he played a key role in their Final Four run during the 2023-2024 season. Griffen started 20 of 33 games at Kansas this past year and averaged 6.3 points, 2.1 rebounds, and 1.4 assists per game, while only shooting 33.6% from 3. However, in his sophomore season at Alabama, he was far more productive, posting 11 points per game and knocking down nearly 40% from deep. And Griffen is a proven shooter with size, experience, and high-level postseason reps, and he will bring an immediate spacing and depth to any backcourt that he's on next year. Although Alabama is in the mix for Rylan Griffen, they are losing former 5-star freshman Derrion Reid, who is trending toward NC State as his next landing spot. The Alabama transfer entered the portal with a do not contact tag and is scheduled to take his first official visit to NC State next week. Reid was one of the top-ranked players in last year's class and averaged 6 points and 3 rebounds in just 14 minutes per game for the Crimson Tide. And Reid was originally linked to Georgia, but now looks to be leaning toward the Wolfpack, especially after Georgia landed Cannon Catchings and NC State missed on Mackenzie and Mgbako. Oklahoma is also expected to get a visit from Reid, but if healthy, Reid brings elite upside and versatility to any front court, and NC State is pushing hard to land him. And let me know in the comments who your favorite transfer portal addition has been, or who are you looking at to make a big move next. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.